Good evening and welcome once again to the Shadow Gallery. I am, as always, your host, James Donnelly, and I'm here to tell you about something. And I'm going to include a link to this on down here. And it's to my Tumblr account. It's to my Tumblr page, which is the Shadow Gallery Comics.tumblr.com. The reason that I would like as many of you who have the patience, obviously you know that, because I'm not necessarily looking for more followers on Tumblr, but I am looking for input. I'm looking for you to tell me stuff about what you think about my written work on Tumblr, my perhaps more in-depth reviews of trades, of movies, and TV shows. I know this stuff is not really the stuff that we deal with a whole lot here, but I should let you know that this is this kind of stuff that I do write about all the time on Tumblr. So I tend to kind of do like a Tumblr bomb drop every like week or so, where I put, where I write them and then I put them on Tumblr and then just drop like 5 or 6 at a time. And they're generally reviews of like trade paperbacks of comics. But every once in a while I will treat people to original work that I've written. I wrote a prose fanfic piece based on the Punisher. It's more very tied into to Garth Ennis's style of run on the Punisher, but kind of with my own take on it. That's a much older post. You'd have to go back a ways to get that one, honestly. But because the page itself, it doesn't really, I can't like really pick out like just specific ones and put them out like I could like a YouTube video. At least if I can, I don't know how. I'll say that that's there. But the one thing that I do really, I'm hoping that you'll come and see, come and read. Like I said, it's a long read, so you might want to take 30 minutes or an hour or so to read this. It's basically what this is. Like I said, it took years. I started it back in, I would say, 2003. And it took me until about 2007 to finish. And it's still something I tweak with, play with every now and then. And this is basically what I'm talking about, is a story that I wrote, basically not quite as a fanfic tale, but as an Elseworlds tale. Because you remember the old DC Elseworlds universe. Okay, basically it was everything, these things, that wouldn't, couldn't, or shouldn't exist in the DC universe. That was their whole motto. And they produced some great work. So what I did was basically, this is before I wrote a tale based on an idea that was given to me by a younger friend of mine. His name is Andrew Stopper, and he did some. He wrote this story that he wrote this very kind of very, very, very rough draft of a comic book script that he was working on, where it was about Batman and about. I can't really say what it's about because I don't want to give too much of the story away. But he was 14 when he wrote this, and when he gave it to me, and I asked, because I liked the idea. I didn't like I said, it was very rudimentary. It was very rough, and it was also the writings of a 14-year-old. So. I asked, I like this idea. Can I kind of play around with this a little bit? And he said, sure. And so, which is why I give him co-story credit on this, because he did point me in this direction. And this tale that I'm talking about is an unformatted script for a comic book. It's more of like, if you read it, it's more like a film or a stage script than it is a comic script. Because to break this down, I know how hard it is to write comics, because I've written a couple of issues of comics that sadly will probably never get published, but I have written them fully formatted and everything, page 1, panel 1, SFX, dialogue, okay, you know what I'm talking about. Anyway, if you've seen his comic script, you know what I'm talking about. But like I said, this is a non-formatted comic script called Batman the Unknown. And this is basically, like I said, it's an Elseworlds tale about Batman's greatest weakness. And there's some surprising characters in it. I think that those of you who are fans of Batman will see points of inspiration that are kind of peppered throughout, because I tried to do justice to more than a couple of things. I was primarily writing this. This was kind of an homage, if you will, to a little bit Joseph Campbell's Heart of Darkness. That was kind of the way that I wanted to approach the story, from a Batman and Robin point of view. Yes, Robins are in this particular tale. It takes place over the course of many years. And this was more of the time frame that seems to be more realistic than, okay, 5 Robins in 5 years. And that's not even including is that including Stephanie Brown? I don't know. It doesn't. For whatever. I'm just saying, this is not the New 52. This was written obviously a long time before that. Completed back in 2007. I wanted to get it out there because I know it's never going to get published, or if anybody's ever going to turn it into a comic book. But I'd like you to take a look at it. I'd like you to read it. Like I said, it's a long read. This is kind of my idea of doing either a very long graphic novel or like a 4-issue, like kind of, prestige edition miniseries of, an Elseworlds Batman tale. It was very inspired by, like I said, Joseph Campbell, but as far as Batman storylines are concerned, the ones that you'll see in here are very influenced by The Killing Joke, A Death in the Family, and Son of the Demon. You'll see these influences, they're kind of hinted at. And even some respect has to be paid to something like Dark Knight Returns, because these are, these are parts of Batman canon, and I wanted to pay them some homage in whatever way that I could. And I want you to also bear in mind that this is before, I started writing this and started, really this all coming together before Grant Morrison started his run on Batman, because you might find some similarities there. I won't get into too much as to why, but if you'd like to, please read it. I'd really like to hear what you have to say about it. I really, really would. So, check it out. If you don't, I'm not going to blame you or anything like that. I'm not going to be mad. But I just really like to hear what you have to say about it. So, like I said, I'll post the link down here. So come check it out. It's my most recent post. So it would be hard to miss. But like I said, please take the time, if you'd like, to read through some of the reviews. Like I said, if you want to read my Punisher fanfic, be my guest. You'll also see on that page will also more than likely be the background to the comic that I was writing, that I was working on with one of my friends, one of my very best friends. but unfortunately, it's hard to work with friends that you'd hope would work for free when they actually have busy jobs and they can't spend all of their time just doing their art for no pay. So, because I was writing a comic that I was very, very focused on until that kind of fell through, and then I kind of lost my concentration on it. So if you know any artists out there that are willing to work for nothing, that'd be great, because I'd love to actually continue on with the series. But anyway, and that's just the background image, because there was, like you said, he did do about 7 or 8 pages of it, fully colored, fully inked, fully drawn. It looked great. I loved it. It's very large, but who knows? Maybe someday I'll actually put some of those pages on there. But come and visit. Come and see. Come read the story, called Batman the Unknown. I'd really, really like to get your feedback on it. So that's it for this edition of the Shadow Gallery. If you haven't watched this week's new comics, bitches, then please do. If you haven't, because it's going to be uploaded either before this or after this. I'm not quite sure yet, but it's already recorded. So anyway, that's it. So please check it out, and I'm sure that I'm sure that you'll like it. So this is James Donnelly again from the Shadow Gallery, reminding you that not only check out my Tumblr account, but also, of course, stay in the shadows.